So looking at one of the movements is a deadlift.
Yeah.
What if my deadlift is 280 pounds?
Yeah.
And I want to improve on certain aspects of it. So I measure other weights I could lift, like a Romanian deadlift has a certain weight. And based on those numbers, I can adjust my training to increase or to get it more stable or whatsoever. And AI is a perfect solution for that. Literally within a day, I had it ready.
Oh, wow.
And just to use a standardized model, use a coding assistant to build the application for me on a kind of per function basis.
Yeah.
And now it's ready. The best thing of all, it runs on a NVIDIA Jetson device. So it's a tiny device like a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, okay.
Basically on steroids with a GPU.
Oh, wow.
If you have been looking for AI use cases for security beyond just using it as a chatbot, then this conversation with Johan van Amersfoort is the conversation you would be listening to. I had the pleasure of talking to Johan at KubeCon EU. He's a HashiCorp ambassador and has also publicly blogged about using HashiCorp Nomad for some of his AI workload projects. In this conversation, we spoke about the AI security use cases beyond the chatbot, why if there is a need for a private cloud or public cloud, which in the European context is particularly important, which is where Johan is based out of. Overall, it was a great conversation. I walked away from the conversation understanding that the balance between finding a governance-ready AI solution while finding a balance for developer-friendly options. At the same time, finding governance versus productivity. There's a lot of balance to be found between using AI and building workloads with it as well. So some of the thoughts that I walked away with, and I hope you get similar inspiration from this episode as well. Shout out to HashiCorp for making this interview possible. Let's get into the episode.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Cloud Security Podcast. What Johan and me, man, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Just to set some context for people, could you share a bit about your background? How did you get stuck into this AI and container world?
Yeah, so I'm Johan van Amersfoort, Chief Evangelist at ITQ. Have been working in infrastructure and cloud native infrastructure for the last decade or so, and have been working with several customers on AI engagements since 2018.
Yeah.
But as part of an infrastructure engagement or of a cloud native engagement, and not really specifically focused on AI as a practice necessarily.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, we build out that practice and are now launching a label that's tied to the practice.
And considering you guys have been in this AI space for some time, just to set some scene for people, a lot of AI projects seems to be chatbot, and I don't know how true that is. So are you seeing more use cases outside of chatbots?
To be fairly honest, I think the majority of use cases that we build for customers are not tied to a chatbot.
Okay.
Of course, since rise of conversational AI solutions like ChatGPT and
Anthropic and others,
yeah, it's of course there's a rise there, but before that we did a lot of traditional ML, fraud detection platforms, computer vision platforms.
Yeah.
So object recognition in real-time video, stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Medical imaging. So there's a ton of AI-related use cases beyond just like the conversational aspect of it.
Yeah, okay.
And all of them have different requirements, different aspects that make them somewhat complex. Or have a different need for infrastructure or for platforms that can run them.
And do you find that building AI capable, because obviously a lot of people already have applications, they want to make them AI capable, and GenAI being to your point about ChatGPT, Anthropic, it's like it become this wave that's catching fire a lot faster than cloud did apparently.
Yeah.
Are people attaching AI capabilities to existing applications, or are we talking about newer applications?
Could be anything. Interestingly enough, we see a lot of traditional ISVs adopt AI into their solutions.
Yep.
But we also see, like a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to figure out how fast I could build an application that does a specific thing, make it cloud native.
Yeah.
And I use a coding assistant to create, for instance, we just had before the podcast recording, we had a conversation about CrossFit.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out how easy it is, first of all, to create a kind of a training planner, training plan assistant.
Yeah.
But also dynamically adjust the training based on my skill set. So looking at one of the movements is a deadlift.
Yeah.
What if my deadlift is 280 pounds?
Yeah.
And I want to improve on certain aspects of it. So I measure other weights I could lift, like a Romanian deadlift has a certain weight. And based on those numbers, I can adjust my training to increase or to get it more stable or whatsoever. And AI is a perfect solution for that. Literally within a day, I had it ready.
Oh, wow.
And just to use a standardized model, use a coding assistant to build the application for me on a kind of per function basis.
Yeah.
And now it's ready. The best thing of all, it runs on a NVIDIA Jetson
Oh.
device. So it's a tiny device like a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, okay.
Basically on steroids with a GPU.
Oh, wow. And to your point, because the entry bar is quite low for anyone to do anything, has there anything specifically that's come out of Gen AI that's made it even more popular? Because to your point, obviously now we have a lot more GPUs available easily, which was not the case earlier. We have AI applications that are being built. Surely there's some challenges.
Yeah, there's a ton of challenges. And looking at, so our headquarters is in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
We have a ton of customers in our geo. And I think one of the biggest challenges they're facing is mostly in the heavy regulated space. So governmental agencies, semi-government, public sector, healthcare, data must be stored within a secured premises.
Yep.
And nowadays we see a lot of what we call shadow AI, where someone just has a credit card, consumes a service, puts corporate data in it, and it makes their work a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it puts an organization at risk. So that's one.
Yeah.
Another one that we're seeing is that cloud costs, because of that, are significantly rising.
Yeah.
So being in control of costs, so being in control over where the data resides, but also ensuring GDPR compliancy is one of the challenges that we're seeing at customers. And that can be simply solved, to be fairly honest.
Oh, okay. And what are some of the solutions that come to mind as well? Or to your point, what could be, if they are starting a project today, what could they be doing to start on the right foot?
So first of all, a lot of companies are not considering private AI, is what we call it, as a solution that could work.
Yeah, okay.
Looking at the show floor here at KubeCon, there's a ton of companies focusing on some form or some aspect of a private AI platform.
Yeah.
So looking at the different forms of Kubernetes.
Yeah.
VMware is here, Red Hat is here, SUSE is here. They all have their kind of solution to run AI in the private cloud.
Yeah.
And it's still one of the things that companies are not seriously considering. When they think about AI, they immediately think about AWS, Microsoft, Google.
That's right, yeah.
But without this kind of the certainty that and the guarantee that the data they put in one of those clouds also stays within their geo or stays secure. So you don't get that certainty.
Actually, that's true, because in the European context, especially now with the political thing going on everywhere as well, it's a lot more, the data sovereignty is a big question as well.
Yeah. And another issue that we're seeing is that the data you need to either train a model or to get your AI solutions to work is increasingly growing as well.
Okay.
So look at, so one of the use cases that we built for a customer is around medical imaging. If you take into account that a single microscopic image of a wide field microscope could easily be 0.5 terabyte in size, and you could create probably, 4 or 5 images in a couple of minutes. So just thinking about having a couple of terabytes of images of a single patient, of a single occurrence of what they have, and uploading it into cloud, that's a massive issue. So we think that it's better to bring AI to your data instead of bringing data to your AI.
Actually, that's a good point. And so to your point, there are versions of localized private AI as well, which you can use and flourish with. Cool. That's most of the questions I had. I've got 3 fun questions for you as well now. First one being, what do you spend most of your time on when you're not trying to solve the private AI problems of the world?
You mean outside of work? Or
It could be outside of work.
Oh, dude, I spend at least 10 hours a week in a gym trying to stay healthy. So the idea is not to become a bodybuilder or something. My kind of goal in life is to stay away from an elderly home as long as possible.
Yeah, that's a good goal to have, yes.
And spend a lot of time with my family. So conference season just started in the last couple of weeks and will probably end the end of May, which means that I'm away from home a lot. But yeah, as soon as conference season part 1, like Q2 is done, then I'll be home for the holiday season for a couple of months. And I'll probably start traveling again starting with the end of August.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Spend a lot of time with the family is fun as well.
Yeah, fair. That's a good one. Which kind of leads me to the second one, which is, what's your proudest moment that is not on social media?
Ooh. Oh man, that's a tough one. I have several ones. I'm extremely proud of my kids, of my wife who manages the family while I'm away. I wrote a couple of books, and the first book that got released, I did a book release at VM World in 2019. NVIDIA bought a ton of books. They sponsored part of the book and part of the research. And there was a handing over the book at their booth.
Yeah.
There was a line of, I don't know, 250 people just waiting to get a book signed.
Oh my God.
Taking pictures. That's probably because all of the, like a ton of work that goes into that, finally seeing how the audience responded to that, that was definitely one of the, work-wise, one of the proudest moments of my life.
Wow. That's a good one to have as well. Probably should ask you about your books later on as well. Last question. What's your favorite cuisine or restaurant that you can share with us?
Ooh. Oh man, that's also a tough one because I love a lot of food. Different food. I love.
Current favorite?
Current favorite is probably, oh, that's a tough one. Being on the spot, figuring out one. On the Pool. It's a Michelin star restaurant.
Okay.
They're in Amsterdam.
Yep.
They're really good atmosphere, like fusion food.
Oh,
really good.
I will take the name for the next time in Amsterdam. Yeah. But dude, and where can people find you on the internet to connect with you and talk more about?
I run a blog.
Okay.
VHOJAN.nl.
Okay.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Johan van Amersfoort. That's probably where I'm most lively on. I'm still on X, VHOJAN as well. Yeah, I think that's.
I will leave that in the show notes. But dude, thank you so much for taking that.
Thank you too.
Thank you everyone for watching as well. Next time.
Thank you so much for listening and watching this episode of Cloud Security Podcast. If you've been enjoying content like this, you can find more episodes like these on www.cloudsecuritypodcast.tv. We are also publishing these episodes on social media as well, so you can definitely find these episodes there. Oh, by the way, just in case there was interest in learning about AI cybersecurity, we also have a sister podcast called AI Cybersecurity Podcast, which may be of interest as well. I'll leave the links in the description for you to check them out. And also for our weekly newsletter, where we do in-depth analysis of different topics within cloud security, ranging from identity, endpoint, all the way up to what is the CNAP or whatever a new acronym that comes out tomorrow. Thank you so much for supporting, listening, and watching. I'll see you next time.